Coach, talk to me. How does it feel to be the head coach of this program as right now?
Well, it's it's a privilege, to be here at VMI and to have an opportunity to be their head football coach and to lead their football program. It's been a really good process for me. Really enjoyed spending time with General Wins, really huge supporter of athletics, and then Jim Miller, the athletic director. He and I had worked together when I was at the University of Richmond. So there were some commonalities, some thoughts, some things that we really felt or agreed upon, moving forward. So it's just a real honor for me and a real blessing for me and my family.
You talk to me, I know you're no stranger to the FCS conference at all or anything like that. How are you looking to kind of put your stamp on this program?
Well, one day at a time. I think it really all begins with relationships. I think the most important thing that we have to do as coaches is to be leaders and train these young people, give them the skills necessary to be successful not only on the field but in life. So it starts with one day at a time and building those relationships, and then obviously you want to be very competitive in your league. So no matter what league you're in, you want to be very competitive in your league, and that'll be our focus here as we get moving forward into recruiting and then obviously into the spring football cycle.
And like I said, you're no stranger to FCS, you're no stranger to the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
What's it kind of like, being this part of the region, I guess, in terms of recruiting, just in terms of just being.
Yeah, it's been really fun. My wife and I drove down, I guess, 2 nights ago, and just kind of once again how beautiful it is in this part of the state. And I kind of share the story that Julie and I, in our first 12 years of marriage, we lived in 8 different states. Then we spent the next 16 years here in Virginia. I was at UVA on Al Grove's staff as his associate head coach, and then I was the head coach at Liberty University in Lynchburg, and then I was the head coach at the University of Richmond for 5 years. So kind of coming back into this state, we have a lot of ties in this state. I know when I was at Virginia, I really focused my recruiting on Southwest Virginia, Roanoke, some of those areas out there, and just feels good to be back. And I've been welcomed back very favorably by a lot of the people. Obviously, most people know my brother Frank's the head football coach at Liberty Christian Academy. So it's really neat to be back in the state of Virginia, and really special to be at a place like this institution.
Did having roots here give you kind of like a little bit of an extra, I guess, push or motivation to find those kids in this area?
I think I know where to go. So it's one of those things where it's a great state for talent and for football, but I know where to go, and you kind of, there's hidden gems in this state. That's the beautiful thing about recruiting the state of Virginia. And there's some programs that people know about and will fly in from all over the country to recruit certain schools, but there's always these certain hidden gems out there, schools that really, players are well coached and develop really well and have talent, but they're a little bit off the beaten track. So they don't get as many people in there to see them, to evaluate them. And we're going to do a really good job here in state working to find those guys.
Is it always kind of surreal that you and Coach Rocco over at LCA are just kind of these two head honchos of coaching, I guess, roots in the state? Is that kind of always what
Well, yeah, but you can take it back a little bit because it really goes back to our dad. My dad, our dad, was our high school football coach. We both played for Dad at Fox Chapel High School in Pittsburgh, and my dad, Frank Rocco Sr., went on to coach at Penn State for 18 years, and then he actually came down here to Liberty when Frank, my brother, came down with Kenny Karcher back in 2000. So it all came before us, really, when you think about the commitment we have to working with young people and the commitment we have to this game of football. It's kind of the family business, and I feel like I continue to learn more and get better. And I think I have a lot to share with not only the staff, but with the student athletes.
And I know you touched on it a little bit just in terms of, I know you know where to kind of go, but what is it about the state of Virginia that is so rich in football history and just so rich in football talent?
Well, it's such a diverse state. You kind of look at the different pockets across the state, the populations, and I think the neat thing is every Most every community really cares about its high school programs, its education. It cares about its athletic programs. And I think taking it one step further, you've got really good coaches in the state of Virginia. It's been a constant through my years in this state. These teams are well coached. These players are well coached. As I've brought players into our programs, be it at Liberty or Richmond or wherever, they came with a good understanding of how to play the game, and they had been developed, and that keeps you coming back. When you have an opportunity to go into schools and really have guys that are prepared to kind of take that next step.
What was it about the program here at VMI that really attracted you to it?
Well, there's a couple things. I think my relationship with Jim Miller, the athletic director, I think my history of being in the area and playing against VMI. And it's one of those things, you hear it a lot, respect your opponent. I really respected this opponent, and there were reasons for it. I sensed that they had this fundamental belief that they were going to play hard, play physical, be united, be committed, be focused. Kind of felt like you had to have your A game when you played VMI. And I think the good thing for me when I was at Liberty, I kind of made this our red letter game for that reason, because I knew it was an in-state game and it was a game in conference back then in the Big South Conference. And I knew if we didn't have the right edge and attitude that they'd find a way to beat us. So I think that's a big part of it. It's kind of my perspective on who we are. It was formed a few years ago, and that respect obviously created an opportunity for me to come back and feel like this is the place I want to be.
And there's so many kids from the area on this squad, whether or not they're from Ward Botetourt, Patrick Henry, you name it. I guess just in terms of being able to coach those guys up, and are you kind of looking at those guys, or just some of the older talent that's on the roster to kind of coach some of those younger guys up?
Yeah, I'd say that the process kind of outweighs the event. So the process is getting to know the student athlete, seeing them work out in the weight room, training them in the off season, going through spring football, really focusing on development and trying to really determine the competition and what positions guys are best suited to play. So in my mind, all those things are way out in front of me. I think that's one of the good things too, though. I'm not coming in here with some biased opinion about anybody on this team. They are who they show me they are, and I look forward to observing that and seeing that here as we move forward this week and next.
And my last question is, I got to ask you, how unique is it really just to kind of look out here and it's like, hey, we're about to get started, we're about to be working on something pretty special?
Yeah, this is a beautiful view right here as I look over the post and just look at the cadets on campus here. I've been on that field out here before in competition on the other sideline, obviously. And it just feels good. It feels right. And I know it's a hard job. I know it's a challenging experience. But that's the kind of people that are attracted to this institution. And those are the kind of people that can go out and do something with their lives. And I want to have an impact on them in a positive way through the ability to play this great game.